Too much stuck in it. You should trust your ears more than you should the drum. Because there are all sorts of problems associated with measuring the measurements. As usual, we have to be a little bit careful with them. But I guess what I'm saying is that I can really do I click my fingers, there's no zing in this room, none at all, which is wonderful. And also the stereo image, the phantom center, has better, crisper definition. It's like nudging a lens into focus. Those are the audible improvements that lowering the reverb sound of this room has brought. And again, yes, there's also would be audible. So remember, my professional acoustician friend Jesko Rohan said that a room with a reverb time of 630 seconds or more would be audible. The wall behind me is my lounge room. So my neighbour's lounge room is basically the mirror of mine. So 6 meters by 5 meters. And yeah, in here though, there isn't any attention paid
It's the same
to room
stick that I
acoustics.
used to
And
last
you can probably hear it.
weekend.
You can probably hear it.
The weekend after this weekend, we do that.
You can probably hear that this room has a lot of reverb going on. It does not sound good at all, right? I mean, if I... You can hear the zing in the end, right? Of the tail end of that sound. That's the room's high frequency reverb. And just like with my room, we can measure that reverb using room instruments. Measurement system, so basically bridging the gap between my laptop and the power node is a topping D10S, so it converts USB to Toslink. Then I connect the microphone to the laptop as well, and then we generate a frequency sweep, and then that sweep is heard by the microphone and then analysed by Room EQ Wizard to give us an RT60 reading. The surprising, I guess the spicy finding actually for this video is that the RT60 for this room between 200 Hertz and 2 kilohertz isn't the car crash that I thought it would be. I thought this room would have a measurable reverb of over a second. But the graph shows us that the reverb sort of sits, well, it dances around a lot more than mine, but I'd say it was minimum is about 450 and maximum is about 650 milliseconds. So it doesn't look that bad, but remember it's quite clear that a room with a RT60 in the mid-range and the treble of around 500 milliseconds or 600 milliseconds is clearly audible. And that RT60 will definitely mess with the sound that the mid-range sound Now, some of you might quite rightly be thinking, well, can't my neighbour fix her room reverb in software using room compensation software like Dirac or Room Perfect or another type of software system? And the answer is no.
It's just like
closer to your speakers, because the closer the listening position is to the speakers, the less we hear of the room itself. Conversely, the further we sit away from the loudspeakers, the more we hear of the room. And in a typical setup like mine, where I'm like 2.5 meters from my speakers, as my friend Jesko said in the interview we did a few years ago,
in a typical untreated living room, if you are just listening to your speakers, you're basically listening to upward 50 to 70% room. What you're hearing is more room than actual speaker.
What about rugs? Now this is a thing that comes up a lot. Yes, I have a rug on my floor here. Yes, it's a thick rug. No, it doesn't really do much for the acoustic properties of this room, or rather it doesn't really do much to the reverb time of this room. Why is that? Well, because if you Google this, if you look up the absorption coefficient of a rug or a carpet, you will see that it only really hits about 15% at 1 kilohertz, and it gets to about 40 or 50% at 10k. So it'll take a little bit of the sting out of the treble, but not too much. And that's the thing, isn't it? When you look at photos of professional recording studios, or even amateur recording studios, or professional listening rooms, you see room treatments like this. I mean, if we could get away with just loading the room with furniture and putting a rug down, we would. But that's what I call a half measure, or a 25% measure, or a 10% measure, because it doesn't do as much as treating the room. The first thing you was doing here, I did try on the whole, but if I fill it out with something, but that's not enough. That's not really enough to get it to the reverb time that I have right now. I guess what I'm saying is that rugs and other furniture, that might be all you can do, sure, but that doesn't mean it is the same as putting acoustic panels on the walls and the ceiling. It does not give you the same results. I know this from years of experience of trying to convince myself that that's not the case. But now, having done this, I can tell you both audibly and from a measurement point of view with Room EQ Wizard that this room is miles better than how it used to sound. And we know how it used to sound. My neighbour's room, you can probably hear it. And I'm doing it against professionals, like me. Because it bears little resemblance to the real world, to what some of you might hear at home, is a bit like saying to BMW, look, you don't need to bother with your Nürburgring testing because you've got an Autobahn just down the road, and that's more real world. Or it's a bit like saying that the Top Gear presenters don't need to use a test track to test a 3-door family saloon car when the M1 or the M6 is nearby. These kinds of I won't say ultimate because this is not the ultimate room by any stretch, but sort of better listening environments allow people like me to do more than a pair of speakers or some of the electronic connections. However, more likely I am to misjudge a pair of speakers or an amplifier or a DAC or a screamer. Or I might favour certain kinds of sounds more. So in a fairly lively sounding room, I might prefer a warmer sound. And not really doing what I'm doing. Now sure, you could absolutely argue against putting up acoustic panels like these from an aesthetics point of view, and I would never disagree with you, but this is the compromise that you have to make if you want to optimise to the max the sound of a listening room without actually building that listening room from scratch. You could put up a few acoustic panels just here and there. You're not going to get a full result. Again, half measures give you half results, and quarter measures give you 1/4 results. And I'm sure that if many professionals could fully treat their room with just a few panels, they do so, right?
This is one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen people making, is that they strongly underestimate how much heat you need.
And it's kind of right, because that's where I've arrived at, you know, having lived with these acoustic panels for the best part of 9 months. I can definitely say that they absolutely make one heck of a difference. But if you want to know how to do that, there's no way I'll be allowed to do that. I don't know why people say that, but whatever. If you can only do one wall, or one surface rather, I recommend you do the ceiling. I know that Jesko, he said this to me yesterday independently of me thinking this, because and I know that all apps will bear this out. When we had this installed, we did the ceiling first. It made a huge difference to the sound of this room when the ceiling went up. And also, it's the least visually intrusive of, I think, all of this stuff really, because I've got diffusers on the back wall. You can't ignore them, but I could probably just about ignore what's on the ceiling. And it makes a tremendous difference to the sound of this room. So I'm saying, if you are only going to start with this, until we do that, now, even if you can't do this, I hope that this video has been entertaining, because that's what I'm really on YouTube for, is to be, well, I guess it's kind of like edutainment, isn't it? A little bit of education along the way. I hope you now have a better understanding of what reverb is and how it can affect what you hear in the listening position, and also what an ideal amount of reverb in a room might look like from a numbers point of view, so between, I don't know, 200, 300, maybe 400. We also know compared to my neighbour's apartment that 500, 600, 650 really is extremely audible. But maybe you want to download Room EQ Wizard, buy a room measurement mic for $100, and see what measurements you get in your room. Maybe you're interested. Hopefully this video inspires you to think about this and maybe do something. Maybe. Because I think that thinking about maybe I should set aside a couple of grams to improve the sound of my room first before I go and buy new speakers, new amps, new DAC, new streaming, new turntable, new whatever. I know it's going to be hopefully having heard that, you will understand better. what acoustic panels, as visually intrusive as they are, what they can do for you.
I don't feel something with the
Yeah, this was a long
water
video, wasn't it? A long video. But if you stuck through to this point, thank you very much. Please give us a like down below. If you like my attitude towards bass problems. And those are actually the biggest problems you have in a small room like this. I chose to kind of tackle the reverb being the other